actually created an account on Substack a couple of months ago, but it was not until recently that I really fell in love. You can actually send your podcast to the other platforms from Substack. And I actually did that yesterday. I published my very first episode on podcast on Substack. This morning when I open Spotify, I can see my podcast over there. I'm back at the crime scene and uncomfortable with silence. Hi and welcome here to this dimension. The name is Emma. I'm a limitless creator spirit, and so are you. And the vision for this show is to remind you of that. I have some wonderful news, and that is that I am entering the stage of Substack. Actually created an account on Substack a couple of months ago, but it was not until recently that I really fell in love with the vision. For some reason, I can list all the pros to why I think Substack is a wonderful place and stage for creators, and I will try to do that in this episode. But before we begin, I just want to take in this feeling that I have, because here in this show, we are all about the flow. Flow is the fuel that you are receptive for when you are present enough. And flow is the transformational fuel that you apply, that you add into your vehicle in order to create your art, in order to create wonderful things, bring values to the world, and to enjoy life. Okay, so first of all, what is Substack? As I understand it, Substack is a platform that integrates blogging. You can have your own podcast there. And here is the wonderful thing with podcasting through Substack. And I'm not saying just on Substack, but through. And that is that you can actually send your podcast to the other platforms from Substack. And I actually did that yesterday. I published my very first episode on podcast on Substack and sent it to Spotify. And at first I thought it didn't work, because when I tried to open the link that Substack gave me, view or listen to this episode on Spotify, it didn't found it. So I was a little bit frustrated over that. You know, tech overwhelm is always reason for frustration. But it turned out that this morning when I open Spotify, I can see my podcast over there. So I will also do the next steps to send them to Apple and other platforms. And the next pro is, as mentioned, the blog opportunity or art. You can write your own articles. And I've been a fan of blogs for a very long time. I love to read other people's blogs, but I've never really found a medium, a platform that I have fallen in love with. But I think this is the place. And why that is so? Well, I like the layout. I like the idea of repurposing your content in the easy setup of just writing your article, for example, and then you can record directly on Substack a voiceover. You can read that transcript and then you can send it to your podcast host. And the reason why that speaks to me is because not only do I like to create from different stages, meaning I like to write, I like to record, make videos like this, I like to script, I like it all, but also for the viewer, because what we create can bring so much value to others. First of all, if it reaches them, and being able to send it as a podcast, you can upload the recording to YouTube, you can write an article. It has the potential to get a wider reach, but also depending on your audience, not only what they prefer to, I don't want to say consume, but what they prefer to consume, but also it takes into account their state that day, their vibrational state that day. For I mean, I have days when I love to watch YouTube videos, and there are other days or moments throughout the day that I enjoy to just listen to it. So I think for me, this is like an analogy of the medium is just the transmitter of the value that we can provide to this world. And in this case, that is writing. We can call it an article, we can call it a blog post, and also sending it as an audio file for people to listen to. And then we have the third reason, and that it works. It lets you collect email addresses. So if somebody subscribes to your newsletter, you will get their email address. And I don't know about you, but how many times haven't you heard from other creators further along in their journey than us talking about building an email list. And here on this platform, you can do it directly. And to be honest, I understand the power of building an email list, but I never got to the point that I really felt the emotional connection with it. And as you know, here we are all about the flow. Flow, we will use always flow as the compass towards the things that we want to experience, but also in the flow, we will put that into what we create and express and share with others. And there is actually a fourth reason why I feel so much for Substack. And that is that you can add a payment wall to your newsletters. And I think that is amazing. Not only for the obvious reason that you can potentially make some money, but also I think sometimes when we just share things for free, people don't invest. They don't invest to actually listen to the podcast or take the steps that you are guiding them through, because it's free. It's like, yeah, that sounds awesome, but people are not as eager for the return of an investment as they are if they pay. When they pay for something, they pay with actually attention, and attention and focus is what will bring results for them. So I am very super excited about this. And I have so many things, so many ideas, so many layers to them that I want to share with you, but we will save that for the next session. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed Substack, the idea of Substack, as much as I do. And if you haven't started it, go and check it out and subscribe to this publication. And let us inspire each other along the way. And I'll also mention this, obviously, I will be very transparent. I will share with you my thoughts, not only regarding Substack, but regarding everything, creating art, expressing art, monetizing art, and so on. But for this specific topic, I will share the journey, the ideas that I have, what I'm currently learning, and so on. If you like this, consider to leave a comment, or if you have any questions that I could maybe help you with, please let me know. That is the best way to allow me to serve you. And remember, keep creating and stay in flow state.
I'm back at the crime scene and uncomfortable with silence. I don't feel no shame anymore. Other egos place out as I switch to different bridges, as I lean to the void of silence. The anger and the actions are gone. Peace of forgiveness is taking place. Somewhere beyond the ego mind, divine presence is always now. I was seeking for a quiet space and I found it in my morning pages. I'm doing it the artist way, where I switch